By the end of the year, 4 to 5 trillion will still be on the table, and you will see something new. We have a $3 million Bitcoin prediction within the next 2.5 years, so you heard that right. Let's jump right in. Bitcoin has the potential to surge and surpass its current all-time high. And with $71.155 in Bitcoin, it's up right now. Over the previous day, Ethereum experienced a 3.65% increase, ultimately reaching $26.31. It's up right now. 3.91% with the XRP at a mean near 52 cents and up 1.04% over the last day. USDT and USDC are trading at 99 cents. With a total market value of $2 trillion for cryptocurrencies, where do we go from here? It's so easy, people. There will be 2.5 trillion. Just last week, I made a call to brace ourselves and prepare for the impending arrival of 2.5 trillion. As I previously stated, the next step will be 2.5 trillion. This is the actual fuel. We aim to reach a target of $3 trillion, and we plan to compare the price of Bitcoin to the current year. We will also monitor the impact of the upcoming election, Dr. Profit, on the market. Following the elections, which are scheduled in just 2 weeks, there will be a few fewer elections on November 5th, and we anticipate a bull 2.0 market. This channel has been discussing this story for a long time, and now we have Q4 elections are just around the corner. November 5th will mark the start of the second wave. Technically speaking, it's the beginning of this bull run pickup. Everything will ignite, Bitcoin will continue to rise in value, and money will begin to rotate out into 2025. At that point, Bitcoin's dominance will begin to decline, and your preferred altcoin will rise. We establish cryptocurrency markets specifically for these types of years to ensure stability. Should an election occur, we are prepared. This is what we are eagerly anticipating. Now is the time, so prepare yourself. I can assure you that this will be like nothing you have ever seen before. BitPay published this post on December 8th. This post will examine previous Bitcoins and their respective prices. Was an election also planned for this area? The election will serve as fuel for this run, but before we get started, keep in mind that we were spoiled because, before the major event, institutions had entered the cryptocurrency market for the first time, which caused Bitcoin to smash its previous all-time high. That tells us that we are in a supercycle, so as we move down, we consider the number 1, which was November 8, 2012, when a block was decreased from 25 Bitcoin to 25 Bitcoin or a reward from 50 Bitcoin to 25 Bitcoin. The cycle ended when Bitcoin reached its peak price of $113 the following year. In 2016, Bitcoin ranked second, with a price of $1,152. The price was $664 at the time, but the next year it rose to approximately $17,000, ranking third. The price peaked at $9,734 on May 11, 2020. The peak for the subsequent year was $67,549. Now, keep in mind that having 3 was unusual because of the pandemic that struck, which many believe ended our lives. So where are we now? Currently resting at 71,000, just a few thousand short of shattering the record, Bitcoin is at a new high before it ever reached that level. Where will the numbers go from here? I think that 150 to 175 is a lock in this case. However, a parabolic blow up top was visible. Approximately 250,000. Some individuals even demand a sum as high as $300,000. The market will be determined by the institutions and institutional funds about to enter it. Checks for Bitcoin went from 30 to 48,000, then back down to 38,000, before rising from 38,000 to a new all-time high. This year, Bitcoin reached a fresh all-time high before the 50 BPS, the Fed cut in September. This year, we are anticipating the release of a Bitcoin magazine and a 6-figure Bitcoin, which will be hosted by Charles Payne on Fox Business. Thanks to Bitcoin, El Salvador is now living the American dream. We have become a nation dedicated to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is accepted as payment. This is Max Hare. Kaiser, pay attention. Max, you claim that El Salvador is now realizing the American dream thanks to Bitcoin. Could you perhaps explain? For us, the Salvadorian dream continues to thrive. However, Charles is experiencing significant reverse migration at the southern boundary. Due to our economic freedom, freedom of speech, and debt repayment, more people are traveling to El Salvador than the other way around. The economy is expanding. Inflation is less than 1%. It is the safest nation in the Western Hemisphere, and President Bukele is the most well-liked leader in the world. Coming here is now safer than going to Disneyland. According to El Salvador, you are more likely to face attacks here in El Salvador than at Disneyland. As you are aware, Max, our housekeeper, hails from El Salvador. Max, our housekeeper, acquired U.S. citizenship 3 years ago, but she consistently expressed her desire to return to her homeland, which she ultimately did. She recently returned from a visit and stated that Bukele is not just to your point of approval, with a rating of almost 93%, but that every nation in El Salvador would adore having him as their president. Is it really that good? The president of the other nation, such as Guatemala and Chile, enjoys the highest level of popularity. Nayib Bukele, the president of Honduras, is a prime example. You want a leader who makes decisions, is bold, charismatic, and extremely intelligent. He works for the people, shrinks the government, and constructs stunning public works like the new library in El Salvador's historic center. Look, Charles, this nation benefited greatly from a $6 billion peace dividend when Bukele went after the gang almost 2 years ago. The corporation is worth $28 billion. The corporation targeted $6 billion for extortion. The gangs went straight back into Salvadorans' pockets, and they've taken advantage of the fact that it has a multiplicative effect. They are establishing new businesses, relocating, and creating a bustling environment that attracts new residents. Yes, I'm glad you brought it up. Without it, no economy can succeed, prosperity cannot exist without peace, and booming economies cannot exist if people are afraid to go outside. Let me ask you about Donald Trump, here in America. Given his complete adoption of Bitcoin, what do you think about its increased acceptability in America these days? It appears that the cryptocurrency's price always fluctuates in tandem with his chances of winning the election. America is doing fine, though. Mimicking El Salvador, correct? We have the first mover advantage because we are a nation that accepts Bitcoin as payment. Now that we are building finance markets based on Bitcoin, both Donald Trump and America are falling behind. Although Matt Gaetz also lags, he founded the El Salvadoran Caucus, which is currently quite active in Washington, D.C. Almost every other weekend, Matt Gaetz is present. See him on the course. He will be participating in our golf event on January 10th to 11th. I have less than a minute, so pay attention. Let's halt our progress due to the presence of a potential threat. Examine the items that have made the right decisions. They will inflict significant damage. Numerous advantages from their action for Bitcoin. They took a risk, and it's paying off. The price of Bitcoin will continue to rise. VanEck projects that the market value of Bitcoin will reach $3 million by 2050, based on a 2% portfolio that additionally weighs 3 out of 6 new members are actively participating in the Bitcoin community. Bitcoin uses resources from the government. The story continues to be excellent. We'll cross that off, but it's certainly not an all-time high. VanEck is coming right here. Our model predicts that by 2050, central banks worldwide will hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset at a modest 2% weight in international trade. Based on this model, we arrive at a $3 million price target for Bitcoin, which sounds, extreme. It also suggests that Bitcoin could reach a value of $3 million and become a widely accepted global reserve asset. However, given that this represents a compound annual growth rate of 16% over several decades, reaching a value of $3 million in the medium future is highly plausible. VanEck is coming, see people. Asset managers and the remaining institutions are likely to join the scene. As we wait 3.5 years for the next 6 to 8 months to unfold, this is the most optimistic period in cryptocurrency history. After 3.5 years, we depart. Over the next 6 to 8 months, despite the ups and downs, headaches, volatility, agony, and suffering associated with cryptocurrency, we will be closer than ever. Preparing to enter Super Bull mode, I hope you're ready to witness a Bitcoin bull run unlike any other. This will be the biggest bull run we've ever experienced, especially with institutional money entering. It all depends on how much institutional money enters these markets. There will be a significant shift, and I believe this will be the final bull run in which we participate, as institutions will seize control and dominate the current cryptocurrency markets.